This is TWiT.
Steve in Westminster, California is next. Hi, Steve.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Thank you. Well, I got a 10-day-old baby girl for Father's Day.
Congratulations. That's awesome. Your first?
My very first, yep.
This is your first Father's Day. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. And hence my call. You know, I'm an Apple guy, and I drank the Kool-Aid, and quite frankly, you filled the cup for me. So.
Oh, nice, nice. That's awesome. That's awesome.
But I love it. But so I have an iPhone X, and it's a great camera, but it kind of limits you to, you know, an iPhone camera.
You know, the iPhone cameras are good. All of the best camera phones, the Pixel 2 XL and are very, very good, but they have limitations compared to a real camera. They don't have very good zoom. The iPhone has a little zoom, but not much. They tend to take a little more time to get going. So if you've got an infant, wait till she starts crawling. You're going to need something a little faster because, as fast as it is to take the phone out and press the button twice and you can get a picture, you can do it faster with a camera. The other issue is the quality. And while iPhone and Pixel 2 and Samsung's Galaxy S9 quality is very good for a camera phone, it's still a little tiny pickup, a little tiny lens, plastic at that. And so it's not going to be as good as even a couple $100 camera, in my opinion.
Right. So my last real camera was a D200.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Do you still have the lenses?
I do.
So you want to stay Nikon then, for sure.
Okay, because I was looking at the big box stores. They got a D70-500
very nice
bundle for, I think, $1,500. And then
so once
the one I was going to ask you about was the EOS 80D.
That's nice, too. That's Canon. Now, here's the thing. I mean, the big expense on a digital camera, and the thing you're going to keep is the lens. Because the lens technology isn't advancing anywhere near as fast as the body technology. So you can expect Nikon and Canon both to come out with new bodies in a year or two that you might even want. But you're putting your money in the glass, in the lenses. How many lenses do you already have?
I've got 3, but I mean, one's a Sigma, so I think that would work with the Canon as well.
If it worked, well, no, it has to be the same mount.
Oh, okay.
So you bought the Sigma for the Nikon. It's not going to work with the Canon.
Okay. So I've got 3 Nikon lenses that I use.
So you already have an investment. I mean, if they're crappy lenses, well, then you don't care. But if you think you might want to keep using those lenses, really an adapter is not an option. You could get an adapter. That's not an option. You're going to want to get a Nikon body. And by the way, that's not a sacrifice in any way.
Okay. Now, is it worth, because sometimes the lenses they provide.
No, you got a lens. Don't get a kit lens. Save some money. Use your existing lenses. Or get a better lens. The kit lenses, that's what we call them, the ones they come with the camera.
Right.
It's the kit lens.
Right.
They're not bad, but they're not the best lenses that Nikon offers.
So give me so I'll buy the body, and would you recommend the 7500 body?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, if you're going to upgrade, what you're looking for is full frame sensor. Okay. And I think that Nikon is, Nikon and Canon are old line, and they've been, it'll be interesting to see how they respond to the mirrorless cameras from Sony and Olympus and other companies, Fuji. There's some Panasonic. There's some very, very good mirrorless cameras out there. But at this point, I don't think the mirrorless are particularly better than a Nikon. And since you have Nikon lenses, you've already made an investment. Why throw it out?
Okay, so give me a recommendation. Obviously, I'm going to be taking about 2,500 pictures a day of my daughter.
Yes, you are. You're going to love it. This is a great time to get a camera. It's 8 frames a second, which is pretty good. That's a fast camera. It shoots you 4K video. You're going to want, and that's my advice, is every once in a while, stick some video, 8 seconds of video in there. You'll be glad when your kids are my kids' age to look back and say, oh, man, she's crawling. Yeah.
And now give me the lens you would recommend.
I have to take a break. Hang on. I can give you some more specific lens recommendations when we get back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I loved the last call. He's got a new 10-day-old baby. His first Father's Day. He wants to get a good camera. You bet you do. And I talked off the air with him to find out what lenses he already had. He has a pretty good zoom. He doesn't need a zoom. What he really wants, and what I think would be probably the first lens to get anybody, if you're getting a new, maybe you've got a kid in high school who's showed an interest in photography and you want to get her a camera, is what we call a prime lens. Not a zoom, but a single focal length. And ideally, if you can afford it, a prime, what we call fast lens. The speed of a lens is tied to its aperture, or f-stop. The wider open the lens can go, the lower the f-stop number, the better it works in low light. And, for something like an infant, low light's it. You're not going to use a flash. You don't want to use a flash. It would destroy the picture. You want to get those beautiful, softly lit pictures, maybe a little light coming in from the window, mother and child, the mom holding the baby. And ideally, you'd have something that's probably either a 50 millimeter, which is sometimes considered a normal lens, that is roughly what your eye sees, or a little bit more telephoto, a little bit more zoom than that, maybe a 85 millimeter. That's often considered the classic portrait lens because you don't have to get in somebody's face when you're shooting 85 millimeter. So a 50 or an 85, 50 is kind of the perfect all-purpose lens. And then ideally something f2.0 or lower. F1, a perfect lens, f1.8, 50 millimeter. If you get that, and leave that on, don't use anything else, that's going to be a great lens for all of those portraits. If you want to be a little less intrusive, stand a little farther back at the 85 is good. That's why portrait photographers often use it. Some of my best images are with my 50 millimeter f2 lens. I feel like that is kind of a great lens. If you can go a little faster, even better. Because if you're indoors, you don't want to turn the lights on. Say, hold on, keep holding the baby. I'm just going to turn some lights on. No, you don't want to do that. You want to get that shot. And modern cameras are very good in low light. Modern digital cameras, much better than smartphones. And this is where really I should have brought this up. The camera phones are great in many circumstances. The place they really almost always fall down is low light. And by the way, low light's anything that's not outdoors. Indoors is always low light. Unless you have, as I do, studio lights shining on you all the time. And even then, it's not that bright compared to outdoors. So if you're indoors, as you probably are with your infant, and maybe it's a little dim and quiet, a fast lens will be a huge boon. And of course, as everybody says, it's not the camera, it's the photographer. You can get a great picture with anything, including, of course, an iPhone 10. But I think there's something about having good equipment that helps. It gives you more capability, more flexibility. And man, what better time than when your baby's born, because you want those pictures. I look back, digital photography was just starting when my kids were born in '92 and '94. I didn't have a digital camera for maybe till 2000. And that's when all my pictures start. I have a ton of pictures from the year 2000 on because you take more pictures in digital, obviously. And even some video. And that's the other advice. I give everybody this advice. And I got it from a friend of mine, great photographer named Ray Maxwell. It was his idea. And Ray was so right on. He said, you've got a still camera. Whether it's a camera phone or point and shoot or a fancy DSLR, but you're mostly taking stills because that's what the camera's for. But just remember, you also have a movie mode. And every once in a while, maybe every 10th picture, 5th picture, 10th picture, if you can remember it, don't shoot what you don't want is an hour and a half. You don't want 5 minutes. You don't want a minute. Shoot 6 to 8 seconds. That's all you need. It's going to capture movement and it's going to capture sound, but most importantly, it's going to capture a moment. And those moments, when you mix them in a slideshow with the stills, they make a huge difference. And I always try to remember this when I travel now, when I'm doing portraits. Whenever you're taking pictures, especially of a baby, get a couple of 6 seconds. That's all. You don't want more than that. just a quick on and off, because that really enhances it, I have to say.